Hi, this is Stacy with Lily Bean Crafts by Stacy. Welcome back, and if it's your first time, thanks for stopping by. So I just got some new vinyl in from Gracefully Created, part of their new fall line, and I went ahead and I quartered it by measuring it up and then cutting it into 4 quadrants, and I'm going to be working horizontally with it this time. So what I did was I took my 20-ounce skinny that I already had prepped and spray painted, and I went ahead and I marked the center point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the edge here at that center point and place it, and then I'm going to lay the vinyl down by using the hinge method, making sure that it's straight on the back end. And then I'm going to go ahead and line that up and place it down. And here I'm just making sure that the other piece is going to line up with it nicely. And I'm going to take my giant squeegee that I got from the Bowen, and I'm going to lay that down really good. I'm going to curl down the edges because I'll eventually be cutting those off. And then I'm going to go in and lay down the other piece. Now with this one, I'll be laying it from the back side, the long side first, and then wrapping it around to where the point is going to wrap around to the other side. I'm using the little pieces of the leaves, the red leaves that crossed over onto the other section of vinyl to line it up so it will be seamless and you will barely even be able to tell that there's any breakage in the vinyl. And at the top, I'm going to pull it tight with the vinyl and fold it over, and then I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife to go ahead and trim that and make that look really nice. And then at the bottom, I'm going to start by just trimming the edge to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to pull that tight, and then I'm going to use my little vinyl cutting tool that I got from Camipaige Boutique, which I do have a discount code for, and I will link it in the description. And I'm going to use that to just trim that bottom vinyl and make sure that it has a nice clean edge. So when I was coming up with this design, I just got the thought of mixing teal with red. I thought that splash of red would just really come together well. So I went ahead and I taped off the vinyl and I spray painted the burst of red and then let that dry. And then I went in with the epoxy method, put about an ounce of, probably not even an ounce of my fast set epoxy on there. And then I'm going in with Pacific from Rae Creations. It's just such a beautiful teal color. And once I start that blend, I'm going to put just a small amount of Noel from Rae Creations on that to give it that red burst that I was really looking for. Once I was done with my ombre, I let that sit for 3 hours, and then I went ahead and I hit it with my glitter glue. And as it was drying, I went and I peeled off all the painter's tape, wanted to make sure I didn't have any problems with the edges once it was dry. And I let that sit for 3 hours, and then I went in with my first epoxy coat. So I'm going in with 20 mLs of Flint Sisters Fast Set Epoxy. I like to put the epoxy onto the vinyl first before I hit the glitter, because I just want to make sure that if there's any of the glitter isn't sealed, I don't want it to move onto the vinyl. So I just like to hit the vinyl first, and then I'll go in and make sure that I get all of the glitter really well. And then I let that dry for 3.5 hours, and then I went in with another 15 ml my fast set epoxy, and I let that go for 3.5 hours, and then I was able to move on to the vinyl portion. I have this dark burgundy, a little bit darker than just a regular red, that I decided to use for the bottom portion of my edging. And I went with a 0.2 inch and by 11.3 inch on the vinyl, so that I made sure that it was long enough. I wasn't exactly sure how I was going to design the edging on here. I just knew that I wanted to put a diamond directly in the middle of where the vinyl came together. So I just went ahead and started playing with it, and this is kind of where it all came together. Decided to keep the vinyl striping kind of clean. As you can see, I'm just kind of laying down the pieces all the way just to kind of see where it all meets together on the tumbler. And it was just a little bit too much when I was having it all just laying there. So I decided to clean it up and just stick with my original plan of doing the diamond. But if you like for there to be a lot of edging and a lot of detail design, you can see that there was a lot of options as far as how the vinyl could have been laid and kept beautiful. I also got the matching decal that went with this vinyl set. I just thought it was so cute. So I didn't want to just put a bleach splat down. I didn't want to spray paint it. I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I've done this in the past. So I just took some white acrylic paint and a chip brush. This chip brush, I believe, is like 1.5 inches. You can pretty much use any size. And I just wanted to take it, I dry brushed it. So I put the acrylic paint on there, and then I dabbed it onto the plate to kind of dry it off a little bit, because I wanted to keep those lines in there. I just feel like it adds so much more dimension, especially with a fall design. And then I let that go ahead and dry. And now I'm going in with the rest of my pinstriping. Here I am using my champagne colored textured vinyl that I got from Tech Wrap Crafts that I got on Amazon, and I'll link it in the description. I went ahead and I put one of the stripes right over the burgundy red permanent vinyl, and then I decided to do an extra little stripe right next to it, a little bit thinner, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay that down. So something that I started doing is I'm just taking a little bit of clear nail polish and I'm putting it on the edges. Sometimes they have a tendency to lift once you epoxy them, and this just makes it so that it doesn't do that. So I went ahead and put that on all the little edges, and then I'm going to go ahead and let that dry, and then I'm going to go in with 15 mLs of my fast set epoxy. I wanted to make sure I put an epoxy coat over the white acrylic paint before I put the decal on, because I did not want any of the edges from the decal to be able to be seen once I epoxied. So I put that on and I let that dry for 3.5 hours, and then I will go in and put the final decal on. And here is the decal one. Like I said, it's so adorable. So now that everything is dry, I'm just going to go ahead and put that on there. And y'all know I do not bother with making sure that it's perfect. I do not do the hinge method on that. I just lay it on there and yep. Love it. So now I'm going in with another 15 mLs of my fast set epoxy. I'm going to let that dry for 3.5 hours. I'm going to sand everything down really good and then go in with 15 mLs of my regular medium viscosity Flynn Sisters epoxy. And I'm going to let that dry for 10 hours and then it will be all done. And this is the finished product. It turned out so good between that white chip brush spot and that red pop. It was exactly what it needed for this fall look. If you like this tutorial, please hit that like and subscribe button. Check out my Lily Bean Crafters community Facebook group, and I'll see everybody next week.